Hi, Ann Korinek from Paint and Porcelain Exchange. Today we're going to be working on the final fire on our deer. Now, I'm probably going to do an additional fire with a little bit of enamel just to add some snow here and there, but I thought you might like to see what we're going to do. This is what mine looks like so far. Last week we did the background, and I left, as you can see, some white here for the snow. You will need to put a lot of different colors on this time. We're probably going to use black, blue black if you have it. If not, the darkest blue you have. A gray, dove gray is good because it has a blue tint to it, but you don't have to use dove gray. You can use any gray, a rich brown or a dark brown of some kind, and a yellow brown and a pecan because that's the basic colors of the deer. And then if you want to put in the trees in the background, they're done with blue black. They're just shadow trees. As far as brushes, I'm going to be using, now this is a fir brush and this is a rake. See the difference? The rake has like little, here, maybe if I hold it over the black there, you can see it. But it has little, like almost every other one cut out. Whereas the fir brush is a really coarse brush. So I'm going to be using both of those. As far as fine brushes, I'm probably going to be using these three. I have a liner here, or a scroller, a liner, a little one. This is a 5-0. The scroller, I think, it's worn off, can't tell. And then this is a 2, and it's a pointer. And this is one of my favorite pointers. If you ever come across them, I don't think they make them anymore, but it's from Jane Houston. Then I have a couple large brushes that I'm just going to use if I need to fill in color. I have a 6 and a 10. So just so you know what I'm working with. You may want to keep an eraser handy in case you need to touch things up, or in the case of, I'll show you where on the deer here. In the case of his back here, I had to take and add a little pouncing in order to take off some paint color to give it that effect of light coming on. Okay, I'm going to start and put just a little color on his face to begin with, just to sort of get that out of the way. It needs a little bit of color up in here. I'm using a yellow brown. You can use a pecan, whatever color you prefer. This is a yellow brown number 2. It's a darker color. And I'm just kind of pulling the color through up there. I want it to be dark, but not too dark. So just darkening what I have there, where I have it there. I'm not going through and adding any more color than is already, any more design on his face other than what's already there. I'm going to put a little up in here. And then we're going to start working on the antlers. I'm going to take a little gray. Oh, I think I need more blue, so I'm going to take a little blue black. I want these to have kind of a blue hint to them right here. This is the area that we did last time, and I said let's just leave the inside of the ear for the next time. So we painted that in. I'm going to start using my fine brushes. I'm going to start with my pointer, see if it is too thin or not. I don't think it is for what I want to do. I want to add some color up in here. First, I'm going to start with my yellow brown because I want to put back in some of the color that kind of faded out when I fired it. So I put a little color in here, a little color here, a little color here. Oops. A little color up in here, and a little color here and here. And just pull it down ever so gently. Now I'm covering a lot of it because I can wipe out the white. I can wipe it out after I've done the black. So now I'm putting black on my brush, and I'm going to put black on the left side. That brush might be a little too thick. Let's try my itty bitty brush. I gotta get a little oil on it because it's not picking up. The other thing is, if your oil doesn't pick up well, sometimes you can take and use turpentine. The turpentine does a nice job of getting the color dark for you if you need it. And that's one of the problems I'm having right now. There we go. No, it's still not dark enough. Let me If that happens, sometimes you have to take a knife. I'm going to take my paint, put it on here, flip it, and add some oil to it, and play with it a little bit until I get it back to a consistency where it's going to be nice and dark for me. Okay? And then I'm just going to work on using that. So I have him back in there. And we're going to take my fine little brush, and I'm just going to put it in the black, and look at the difference. Now watch. Yeah. That's the black I want. You could, if you're having trouble or you don't have a small brush, you could use a pen to put a fine line on like this. And you're going to want to bring it up to kind of a point at the top. We're putting it on the left side of the antlers. And we're putting it on pretty strong. Now, if you did this and you put the resist on and you have some white space, this is a good way to cover it too. Okay. And then down here, I'm going to put it right here. And then here, we're going to paint the front of this with black. And then I'm going to pull the black kind of up the middle. Here. You can still see good. And along that side. Now I'm going to go back with my eraser and clean this up because it's not doing exactly what I want it to do, but it's not bad. And then I'm going to add some black here. Where we had it before, just darkening it. And then I'm going to add the black up the front of this. And just up to a point. Now, if I didn't get that point exactly the way I want it, and just paint the black all the way up, then I can go back with an eraser and clean it up. Let it set a little. Okay, on this side, we're going to do the lower part. And we're going to do the right side. Because the light's coming from the front. You might be better off painting upside down. And I'll tell you why, because as you pull up, you lose paint on your brush, and in the long run, that's going to make your brush, your paint line thinner. So turn it upside down, paint towards yourself if you need to. Now you may want to do another pass on this. The other thing you do is the piece that you're painting from, you probably want to turn it upside down so you can see, if you're painting upside down, what it looks like so that you're following it exactly. I'm going to put a little blue black on my brush here, and I'm painting this blue black, but I'm smearing it out so it's not a heavy blue black, but I do want a little blue black in here. Here we go. And I'll put it there too. Okay. I want to define these antlers that go up above. You can even put a little on the ends of these. I think it might help. And this one goes up above a little bit. Okay. And we'll put a little on that. I'm using my liner. And like I said, it's not a heavy blue black, it's just a blue black. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to put this black just on the outside here. I'm using my liner. It seems to be cooperating. I may have to go over this one more time. It might just be one of those things that I find that when I fire it, it's going to need a little more. I'm going to switch to my small brush because this one's a little heavy up here. There we go. And I'm just going to bring that up a tad. And I might just do a little bit of the inside there. Okay, now I'm going to go back. Oh, didn't do these guys very much, did I? Okay, let's get them pretty good. These are the left side, the other side's the right side. Okay, now I'm going to go back with my Paintnporcelain. Now the Paintnporcelain may not work. It doesn't always work, but you're going to drag out. I'm upside down again. You're going to drag out the color. Here, I might have to take this guy and do it. There we go. Yeah, pull the color with it, is what I mean by that. You can also use, and this is my pointed little guys here. They work pretty well too. See how we're getting that light on there? So that's why we put the color in, was to pull the color out. Yeah, actually the Q-tip works really well. There we go. So I'm going to bring more of my Q-tips over here so I can see them for a change. Now we have the black here. It's a little overdone, but that's because we want to wipe out, first of all, starting at the top and down. Top and down. Oops, that one went too far. Put a little black back in. There we go. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my Paintnporcelain because I want that really white, and I had saved it under the resist to be really white. And you're going to have to just play with this because it's a shadow, and you want it on the top. So the antlers are like this. This part of it is bright, and this part of it is shadow. Okay? I'm going to take my small brush, and you can even do this if you need to, and just pull down a little with the small brush. There we go. And then right here, this should be more white. Get a little more color in there, a little more white in there. There we go. Now remember, your background is now dry, so you should be able to do a lot of this, and that will give you the color that you want there. You want it to be bright. Okay, and then on this side here, we're just going to wipe them like this. And just wipe right off into the background because the background is dry. And just play with it till you get it the way you want it to look. Because the key here is to really try to get the color you want on here. I need a little more black up here. When you can see the highlight, then you know you've got it right. If you can't see what highlight you're trying for, that's going to be a problem. And I'll probably play with these a little more after we're done too, because these are the key highlights. There we go. That's better. There and there and there. Now we're going to do up in this area, we're going to do this side of him. This side of him. I'm going to pull this up a little bit like that. Just play with it. And you'll get that highlight as you play with it. You just have to keep changing out your Q-tip. You don't want to keep using the same Q-tip. You want to bring it down and use a nice Q-tip. And where there's a curl like that, play it up a little bit. And where there's a top like that, play it up a little bit. See, here's a curl. I'm going to just put a little highlight in there. There we go. And then down here, there's a big curl. See how that helps? Now, you may say, okay, well, I want a little more black on this side. And you can put it in after the fact. This one here, I think, in the middle is just a little too, he's a little too, I don't know, too thick or something. Yeah, he was too thick. So play with the edges of them. You can go out into the edges and play with the edges and get it just the way you want it. The antlers are kind of key on this, okay? That's how my antlers turned out. And they're really key on this because they're what's going to give you the kind of cool look, the look of the wild, okay? All right, I still have my black here, so I'm going to go around here and here, because the black, but you can't add black heavy. You have to add it a little at a time so it doesn't pop, because black is notorious for popping. Now here, I have a little bit of the background where I didn't quite get the, I put too much resist and it kind of covered into the background. So luckily this is black, so you can cover that over with the black. And then redo the ear inside of it. Just a little, just add a little black like that. And here too, you're just going to go through, take your black and go through, and wherever you have a little white, where you got a little too much resist on there, just go through and use your black to cover it, because the black will cover it. Later on when we get down in here, the bottom, we'll be using probably a brown. Okay. Alrighty. We get a little pecan on here. I'm going to bring the pecan down just a tad and put a little here. Okay, and now I'm going to take blue black, put it on my brush. I'm using a number 6 now. Put a little blue black on, and I'm going to do his nose. And I'm going to pull it across this way to give his nose a little color. And I'm going to put a little down in here. This is blue black. I'm just adding it gently. Okay. And probably a little blue black up in here. And I'm adding this by using my number 6 brush. There we go. Now we're going back to the black with the really fine brush to define his eyes. They have kind of dead eyes. They don't really have a lot of spark in their eyes. So leaving all this white space is pretty typical of a deer. Then I'm going back to my pecan, and I'm just adding a little pecan here. There we go. And now I'm going to start adding the pecan down here. Oh, I need my rake. There we go. See how nicely that does? Can you see the fur? Maybe if I bring it a little closer, you can see the fur there. And then we're going to do a little on his chin. Oops, this is pecan again. Okay. And we're going to take the black on the liner and just kind of redo his mouth so that we make sure that we have a nice color on it. Make sure the nose is good. There. Okay. I'm using full load pecan, side load of the brown now, because I want to kind of get under his chin a little bit. A little too, so I pat it on my towel because it's a little too strong. There we go. And we're going to get a little more pecan, a little less of a side load here, and just kind of move it all the way over like this. There we go. Okay, I'm going into my blue black now with my big brush. I'm using my 10. I'm going to turn them upside down and I'm going to add blue black. Now you're going, why on earth is she doing that? I'm going over the fur with it. One of the things that you need to do is have something to pull away from. So kind of use the side and kind of just work it in there a little. You don't have to work it in there much. It's not going to stay there. It's just for you to have something to pull off of. Okay? Okay. Clean my brush. Now I'm using pecan full load with a side load of the dark brown. And I'm putting the dark brown on. And the reason I'm doing this is because, again, we're going to have something to pull away from to get a fur effect. So you want to put in, and I'm using the brush this way, just this part of the brush, because I want to create a little bit of fur doing this. Oops, that's a little heavy. And then we'll go back and clean it up. I'm going to bring the dark down here at the base. I want this leg to have the illusion that it's a little bigger, so I'm just going over the black in the background. This one I'm going to come down and hit this and this side. And then we're going to pull the dark up here. Pull it up here and pull it up here. You have to have dark if you want to have light. So you're going to start with the dark. And pull it up. Pull it around. And you're going to see what I'm going to do. You're going to think I'm crazy, but it works. If you don't put dark on, you don't get light. Okay. All right. Now I'm leaving it kind of scraggly looking because I'm going to pull out the light with my brush. Get my brushes out of the way here. I'm going to try it first with the with this little guy. And we're going to pull down, pull down, pull down. Not working real well. Let me try it with this little guy. Yeah, it's better. Okay, so I'm using my 6. I've cleaned it with turpentine. I pressed it super good so that the turpentine is off of there. And I'm just using the very top of it here. and pulling down. Then I wipe it because you're going to get paint on there. And you can flip it over if you need to. And you're going to start pulling the color down. You may have to go back into the turpentine. So I want him to have like a very white area here. A little white here. And I want this to come down like this. And see how that helps? Can you see how that helps? You have to have the dark underneath in order to pull off the light on top. And here he has some I'm going to have to go back in and clean my brush again. Okay, let's try the fur brush. Where is that? Here it is. Now this is dry. And I'm using this side of it. It's got something on it. Got some brown on it. Okay. And then I'm just going to keep pulling. And this light's going to come down this way. And I'm just going to keep pulling now. Wipe, pull, wipe. See how I'm getting that? It's hard to do upside down to show you, so I'm turning it so you can see it from time to time. And here I'm going to take this sponge and just lighten it a little. And then I'm going to pull up. Got too much brown on there with the fur brush. Now the back of this deer that I'm using as an example is fairly smooth. And we already have the white under here. So if you want the white to come out, you need to make an effort. Get lighter and lighter as you get to the end of it. As far as your touch, that's one of the things you want. Now here I want a little more of the blue, so I'm just going to touch the blue on this and put it back in. I'm touching the side of my brush to the color and just adding it back in. Okay. Alrighty. I'm pretty happy with that. Now, what else am I going to do? I'll show you. I'm going to do the tree. In here, I want to do evergreens. You can do any kind of evergreen you want. I do my evergreens upside down. So I take my brush, and I take my deep blue green, my blue black, my deep blue green. First, I'm going to put a line so that I know how tall I want my evergreen to be. So I have to kind of do that facing me. Okay. And then I take my blue black and I start. Oh, this might be a little harsh. That's not working as well as I'd like it to, so I'm going to do it sideways. Let me lay it out this way first. That's better. And I'm just laying for those of you that are beginners, this is a relatively simple tree to do. You just put a couple of little things on there like that. Make sure you have enough oil. I'm using a size 6 brush because this is the little tree. And I'm just letting my brush dictate where the little parts of this tree are going to be. And I'm trying to make it progress from the base up to the top. And then we'll do this side. See, that's all it is. Nothing fancy. And then I might make the trunk a little, there. That's it. That's my tree. The deer is awesome. Thank you. And now, I'm running out of blue black. I have to mix a little more. Yeah, I think this deer needs a little more dark. Kind of right here. Come here, you. Yep. I think you could use a little more dark right there. I'm taking my rake and just doing a little cleaning up there. Sometimes your rake is good for you because it's not as harsh. And then we want a little more light back here. If you want light to shine on him, what you need to do is make it a little, slightly more smooth. When you smooth an area, then you get the impression that light is shining. I'll put a little dark up in here. That's better. And I will use my rake. Where's my rake? Here we are. To pull that in. There we go. And blend it in a little without wrecking that area that I tried to get the light on. I think I'm going to go a little closer with the dark. I'm going to use my rake and just move that dark in a little closer up at the top. Right there. Okay. All right, so that's one tree. Then you can do your other tree. I'm going to use my bigger brush, and I'm going to I'm using my brush this way. I'm loading the side of my brush. Let me show you. Like this. Just loading it. That'll give me some of that look I want. And if I think this tree is going to be too tall, which it kind of looks like it might be, I want to go behind this one. I'm just going to determine how high I want it to be. No, it's not too bad, is it? And we'll just go up in here and come down. Come down. These are shadow trees. That's why you can get away with this. They're not meant to be real good trees, so they're shadow trees. There we go. Okay. Now one last thing. I will come back, and I said as I mentioned to you, I will come back. Right now I'm going to take and just try to, no, none of this fur will go out into the background very easily. This is the last chance, by the way, that you have to get this fur the way you want it. So if you want a few little things like that, you need to put it on this fire, because you are not going to get another chance. Once this is fired, you're going to lose that chance. So make sure that you have everywhere that you want with fur on the animal that's light fur covered, and have it coming down the way you want it to come down, because what you're doing is you're pulling on the undercoat, the undercolor here, and you won't have that ability in the future. So if you want to show up a little light, you can take the side of your thing and pull it up this way a little bit. That'll give you a little bit of, your Q-tip can help you. And if you want a little light in the front of him, there, okay. You can also use your finger. Your finger's great. All right, now the final thing I want to mention is I will be going over this then. I'll fire it. Clean the brown off anywhere it shouldn't be. Okay? That's our deer. This is how we turned out. Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it. Pick up those brushes and keep painting. Bye-bye. And I hope you'll take a minute to subscribe so that other people can learn more about China painting and we can get the word out to more people. You also can look at the links below. My Paintnporcelain.com website has a lot of freebies and printables for new and experienced painters, as well as studies, supplies, and even some of my hand-painted china. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time.